discovered my cheating wife at her hidden hotel. My heart shattered the day I handed my wife divorce papers in a hotel lobby, catching her completely off guard. The look on her face, that raw mix of terror and disbelief, was a chilling kind of satisfaction I never thought I'd feel. For 16 years, I poured everything into my marriage. We had 2 amazing kids, a comfortable life thanks to our careers. I'm an engineer, she's a manager at a big ad agency. We'd weathered early storms, grown up together, and I truly believed our love was unbreakable. I honestly thought I was a good husband, a great dad. Then, the truth hit me like a physical blow. She'd been having a long-term affair, and it shook me to my very core. Looking back, the signs had been there, subtle at first, then glaring. For 2 years, my wife had been emotionally distant, a shadow of her former self. Nothing I did seemed to make her happy. She constantly compared me to her boss, subtly chipping away at my confidence. I tried everything. Books, date nights, desperate conversations. Her response? Don't ask, you should just know. Every attempt was met with lukewarm thanks or bitter disappointment. I felt like a failure, constantly wondering what I was doing wrong. Little did I know, the repair work I was trying to do on our marriage was being done by someone else entirely. This wasn't just any boss. He and his wife were close family friends. Our kids adored each other. We went on trips, barbecues, arcade days. I'd even confided in him about my marriage troubles, thinking he was offering genuine, wise counsel. The irony now is just gut-wrenching. One night, the first true crack appeared. We were in bed, and she was on her phone, giggling, messaging someone. My curiosity was piqued. The moment I leaned over to get a glimpse, she recoiled, pushing me away with a fierce, almost violent energy. "What are you doing?" she snapped, then stormed off to the bathroom when I pressed her. That night, a chilling certainty settled in my stomach. I knew, without a shred of doubt, that an affair was underway. The next day, fueled by a desperate need for answers, I confronted her directly. It was a mistake. She erupted, furious, denying everything. I needed the truth, so I demanded her phone. She hesitated, a split second of panic, before handing it over. Later that evening, she deleted almost every single incriminating message. But it was too late. I saw the gaps, the nonsensical conversations. My suspicions were confirmed, but I still lacked the concrete proof I needed. A month later, a good friend, who happened to be a tech whiz, helped me. He retrieved the deleted texts. It turns out my wife had an entirely separate phone, which explained why the one she gave me seemed so empty. Piecing together those digital fragments was like assembling a puzzle made of pure agony. And there it was, undeniable evidence. The affair. And yes, you guessed it, it was with her supervisor, my so-called friend. My first instinct was to confront her right then, to unleash the torrent of rage and heartbreak. But I held back. Not for her, but for my children. How would this absolute nightmare affect them? I was a wreck, crying openly in front of my friend. I even ordered a book, How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair, clinging to a sliver of hope that I could still salvage something. If you're shaking your head, believe me, I get it now. I desperately wanted my wife back, wanted to stop this madness. But she continued her charade. She told me she had an emergency at work, not to wait up. That Saturday, I called her office. Closed. Her phone? No answer. She finally returned home around 2 in the morning on Sunday, immediately showered, and slid into bed. When I pressed her about her late arrival, she simply brushed me off, reminding me she'd told me not to wait. I was exhausted, heartbroken, and utterly done with her lies. I left the book on her nightstand. She didn't even care. She saw my pain, my agony, and she just didn't care. I was desperate, searching for stability in a world that had just turned upside down. So I did something that, to this day, I don't regret. I called her boss's wife, the other betrayed spouse. Finding out shattered her as much as it had shattered me. She wanted to confront her husband immediately, but I advised caution, knowing he'd likely lie and cover it up, just like my wife had done. We met at her house, 2 strangers united by a devastating betrayal. We pooled our meager evidence, then set out to gather more, spying on our own spouses, a surreal and painful mission. OBS found clear evidence shockingly fast. Her husband, in his sheer arrogance, hadn't even bothered to delete the texts between him and my wife. The small, cryptic notes I'd found earlier finally made sense. The affair had been going on for 2 years. 2 years of lies, 2 years of mocking my efforts, 2 years of sharing intimate moments with another man. My rage and OBS's was absolute. By the way, if you're still with me and finding yourself gripping your seat, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Because believe me, more unbelievable stories are coming your way. The details were sickening. They'd been together everywhere. Her house, my house, fancy hotels, business trips. They'd even exchanged explicit pictures, which we chose to ignore, unwilling to inflict that further pain upon ourselves. We wanted retribution. We wanted justice. And we decided, together, that they could have each other if they truly wanted. We gathered our divorce papers. We were unwavering in our resolve. For a short time, we played our parts, our spouses oblivious to the storm gathering around them. Our ducks were in a row. We knew exactly where and how they would be. We knew the specific motel they'd booked for their romantic weekend. I arrived there with the sheriff. While he made the necessary arrangements, I waited, a cold knot of anticipation in my gut, in the lobby. My wife was called down from her room. She descended in a bathrobe, nothing else, her face a mask of terror. She looked at me, furious, demanding to know what I was doing there. The sheriff stepped in, confirming her name and details. She responded ambiguously, then the papers were served. The startled, shocked expression on her face was deeply, profoundly fulfilling. My job was done. I turned to leave, unwilling to engage further. But she wasn't done. She grabbed my arm, clinging fiercely, insisting on knowing the meaning of it all. I looked her dead in the eye, my voice devoid of emotion. You had an affair. I'm leaving you. Simplified, direct. She began to scream, her grip tightening. The sheriff had to intervene, ordering her to release me. She dissolved into tears, claiming she could explain, that I had the wrong idea, that it was my fault. I left, the red haze of anger threatening to consume me. My wife immediately called her boss, the other man. He, I was told, rushed home, only to find himself served with divorce papers by his own shattered wife. We blindsided them, exactly as they had blindsided us. My divorce would be finalized in a few months. Neither of them wanted the divorce, of course. Their excuses were infuriating. It was only sexual. They never meant to leave their spouses. People have worse indiscretions and still make it work. My wife even told me she wasn't that person anymore, that she was just following the flow. I told her she was immoral, a moral void. My family, my mother, friends, they all pressured me to give her another chance, labeling me horrible. But my children? They knew what was going on age-appropriately, and they backed me 100%. I felt the guilt, the raw hate, but also a lingering love. I questioned if I was being too cruel. She was trying so hard now, reading books, attending therapy. But I suspected her sorrow was for getting caught, not for the betrayal itself. She continued to label me as sour, angry, unable to move past the negativity, then apologized for it. A cycle that clearly showed me her true feelings. She detested my continued contact with OBS, convinced OBS was manipulating me, or that I was having a vengeance affair. I told her she was nuts. We had done nothing wrong. Why should I accept her twisted viewpoint? I was done with her justifications, her pleas to join her in therapy. Hell no, I thought, having seen therapists blame the victim too often. She wanted us to read books on infidelity together, even though we were divorcing. What good would it do? Her desperation was palpable, but it felt like a performance. I told her I wouldn't be controlled by sex, that her sudden love was just an attempt to win me back now that I was leaving. The people around me, including my mother, were still annoyed, urging me to forgive, to realize she learned from her errors. But I would never be someone's backup plan. Treating her the way I did made me terribly guilty at times, but I knew deep down it was necessary. I was moving too quickly, they said I would regret it. But what was real anymore? What wasn't? I decided. Divorce was the best path for me and my children. I was done with her manipulations, her attempts to twist me over, to make me feel less than. She had given another man her all. It was shocking but liberating to finally realize I was over her. Her current perfection felt fleeting, a desperate act. She now offered total honesty, total vulnerability, admitting her insecurities and envy of OBS. She regretted the affair, would live with the guilt, and never forgive herself. But it was too late. I spent Christmas with my entire family, then moved out. I was done for good. My wife wasn't a villain, she deserved happiness, but it wouldn't be with me. That day, I called OBS and invited her to dinner after the holidays. We had truly helped each other through this devastation, and I owed her my thanks. I realized finally I had choices, and one of them had been right there all along. My divorce was finalized a few weeks later. I mourned, not for her, but for the spectacular failure of a marriage I had once believed in. I cried stronger tears than I had since the initial discovery. My ex-wife moved out, into an apartment, a significant downsize that clearly depressed her. We began the difficult journey of co-parenting. We tried to make sense of what had happened, for the kids' sake. That first dinner with OBS, purely for companionship, turned into something more. We talked, we connected, and yes, things grew flirtatious. The evening concluded with a fervent intensity, and I have to say, it was the most amazing sex I had ever experienced. OBS, now divorced from her own betraying husband, was an incredible giver, spades above my ex. It wasn't planned, but in that moment, I realized what I had been missing. I finally felt desired, truly seen. It helped me rebuild my shattered self-esteem, showing me I hadn't lost my morals, hadn't cheated. I was proud of how I handled this mess. But the fallout, especially for our daughter, was intense. She openly told me she hated her mother for what she'd done, pushing away attempts at affection, even cursing at her once. It broke my heart to see her suffer so deeply. My ex-wife, in her desperation, even asked for my help to mend her relationship with our daughter. I was the one she cheated on, the one she betrayed, and she wanted my help. It called into question everything I'd done, worried me that my daughter was suppressing her true feelings, feeling voiceless in all of this. While my son quickly warmed to OBS, my daughter needed more time, but eventually accepted that she wanted me to be happy. Years have passed since then, and honestly, OBS and I are doing amazing. I never had a closer bond with any woman. She's my girlfriend now, and while I still have questions about the entire concept of marriage, she has shown me, time and time again, that I mean the world to her. We've kept things as private as possible for the kids, but they know we're together, and they're doing incredibly well. My daughter and son adore OBS, and her youngest even started calling me stepdad at events. It was a ton of bricks, an incredibly emotional moment when I realized she wasn't forced, she genuinely loved me. My ex-wife and daughter have worked hard on their relationship, and I'm genuinely happy my daughter found it in her heart to forgive her mother. They've both grown immensely. My ex still goes to therapy, works out, seems healthier, but she still subtly hints at a second chance, a reconciliation. She talks with OBS, who, rightly so, views her with mistrust. As for the other man, he's a lost cause, a disaster. All that money, no brains, and his children hate his new girlfriend, who strikes me as cruel, materialistic, and selfish. But we're doing better than just good. I had my doubts, my fears, but the hard work of everyone involved, especially OBS and myself, has truly paid off. It's not a happily ever after, in the fairy tale sense, but it's real, it's earned, and it's right. I learned that you never, ever tolerate disrespect from anyone, not even the people closest to you. Everyone deserves a happy, content relationship, and you should never accept your partner's leftovers. So what about you? Have you ever had to draw a hard line when someone you loved betrayed you? What did you do, and how did you find the strength to move forward? I really want to know your thoughts in the comments below.